Oh my gosh. Let's see, mic on? Yep, mic's on. Hey, sorry about that. I'm starting late today by 5 minutes. I was down troubleshooting in another room, and all of a sudden I looked up, and I saw that I was super duper late. I gotta blame Mr. Studebaker on that, who is not here today. And I don't know why I'm gonna blame Mr. Studebaker, but thanks for joining us for today's Tech Tuesday, which is on EdPuzzle. And we're going to show you today how to use EdPuzzle and what EdPuzzle is and the different things you can do with EdPuzzle. EdPuzzle really started being a thing here at Trail when we started doing our, I apologize, I'm just trying to log on at the same time. When we started doing our blended learning initiative here in the high school, because the question came up of how do we make sure that our students are watching these videos, how do we make them more interactive, and make sure that they got the content, and EdPuzzle is really, that's what that is about. So let me go to this video so I can kind of start out with some of the basics of EdPuzzle. We're not going to watch the video. Okay, we're going to finish reviewing Chapter 3. I'm having typing issues. Let's see if I can get myself logged in here. Okay, so we're here. So EdPuzzle, the idea of EdPuzzle is that it's going to allow you to make videos interactive. And we did a class a couple weeks ago about, and at the Tech In service, on the advantages of recording your classes so you can use them later, so you can turn them into flipped classes. YouTube is really about that process. So you can, first of all, EdPuzzle any video on YouTube. It's not about using your own videos. It's about using any content that you find on YouTube that's pertinent to your class that you want to use, whether you find it from Khan Academy, on YouTube itself, or anywhere really, but we're talking mainly about YouTube. Now I'm on YouTube right now, and I'm on a YouTube video, and you can see down here, there's a button that says Edit with EdPuzzle. And one of the things that makes it really easy, and we'll start with that, is on how to edit EdPuzzle. EdPuzzle is a Chrome add-on. So I'm on Chrome, the browser Chrome, and you can tell because Chrome is highlighted down there. And I'm going to do EdPuzzle, Chrome extension just filled out for me. And then the first link right there takes you right to the Chrome web store. And it's going to say up here, add to Chrome for you if you don't already have it added. If you have it added, you're going to see it removed from Chrome like me. By doing that, you'll get this Edit with EdPuzzle button. So many times teachers don't like to use YouTube in their classroom because they don't want to get the ads. Even if you embed, they can click on it, open it up in YouTube, and then they get the ads again. So that's one of the things that EdPuzzle does for us. So I'm going to go ahead. This is an hour and 18-minute long class that I went over something in my class on the first day of motherboards in Chapter 1 that we did this year, and I want to use part of this as a intervention activity for students that didn't understand what was going on in a certain part of the lesson. And by the way, I haven't reproofed this one. It's just a class recording that was from earlier. So if I want to work on it, all I have to do is go to any YouTube video I find that's pertinent for my class, and I can click Edit with EdPuzzle. It's going to immediately come up and come to me, and if I haven't ever logged on to EdPuzzle, it's going to say, are you a teacher or a student? And you're going to say teacher, and it's going to say, do you have an account? And if you don't have an account, it's going to create an account by connecting it to your, in our case, the National Trail Gmail account. Once you've done those steps, and you know what, I'm going to go in here to go to edpuzzle.com. And if I go to EdPuzzle, you know what? I'm going to go to an incognito window so you can see what I mean. If I go to edpuzzle.com and I've never been in, I can say, hey, I either want to log in or sign up. If you haven't been in before, you have to sign up. If you haven't, you just hit log in, and then you say whether you're a student or a teacher, and then you log in with Google, and you connect it to your Google account, which I'm already logged in, and this is incognito, so I wouldn't see it like that. If you haven't, you hit sign up. Again, you sign up as a teacher, you sign up with Google, you pick your trail account, and Bob's your uncle. You're in there in EdPuzzle. So I've got this video. So I've got basically 4 steps here of doing a video. And I'm going to tell you I use step 1 and step 4. I don't use these two. It says you can voice over. It says you can use audio notes. And I will tell you I have the most powerful workstation, personal workstation at the school, and I've never gotten this to work well, so I don't use it. I just don't think it's worth it. The pain of doing it, it's just, in my opinion, kind of ridiculous. And if you don't know what I'm doing, I'm getting signed on to our tech account so that since we're live, if there's any comments from the peanut gallery, which I expect from Mr. Studebaker, let's see, my channel, so I can open up the chat room here. There we go, live. 1 person watching, must be Mr. Studebaker. There's going to be a delay there, Dan. So if you are chatting, we are on and rolling. We were late, and it is not my fault. Hello from cyberspace. Hello, Dan. So first thing I've got is the ability. I've got this hour and 18-minute long video, and I want to trim it into the content that I want my students to see, and not let them see anything else. So I'm going to just pull it down here at 30 minutes and see what we're talking about then. Okay, let's say I've got some confusion about the types of motherboards. I need to go back a little bit more. Okay, so let's say I started talking about it here. Redo that section of your presentation. And then I'm going to pull in and say we're only going to see. You know what? I'm going to stick to my guns here and say we're not going to do it longer than 5 minutes a piece, which is what I highly recommend. You look at 5 minutes as your objective time of how long you want to make a video. Shorter is better on any video, and you could make it a little bit bigger, but if you've got a logical point, you can chop it in 2 and make it, hey, do this video, then do this video. It's way easier for kids to stomach a 5-minute video and then have an exercise or something they do to connect with that video than to give them, obviously, an hour and 18 minutes. So the first thing I do is I can trim my video if I might want to go and actually listen to it and make sure there's a logical point that I go ahead and cut this off. Let's see where the end of this is. There we go. I'm going to cut it off right there. I don't know why. Okay, so we'll say right there. So now I've got the crop done. I'm just going to go straight over voiceover, audio notes to quizzes. And now you can see it's a 5-minute, 4-minute video, and I have the ability to ask questions during the video to make sure my students are paying attention. Okay, so one of the great things about EdPuzzle, it makes it so that they can't fast forward, they have to watch it. Doesn't mean they can't hit play and leave the room. How do I keep them from hitting play and leaving the room? I ask them questions, and then they have to answer the question as they go. So let's say I'm going to have them do this video, and I'm going to hit play here. Wrong one. I'm going to turn up my sound so I can hear it a little bit. Okay, you're like, man, I did all this research and built all these custom slides. Like, too bad for you. Start over again. We're doing all ATX because ATX is the most common. Can you build with an ITX? Yes, of course you can. Can you build with the BTX? Probably not. If you're trying to build a gamer system. The cases that are available out there, most of them are ATX. The best priced ones are ATX. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. I've said ATX motherboards 20 times, so I'm going to ask them a question and see if they're paying attention. So I pause the video where I want to do the question, then I hit this little question box over here. And now I've got options over here. I've got an open-ended question, another essay feedback thing that they can type in. I can make multiple choice, or I can make a comment over here that it just stops the video where it's at. They have to read what the comment is, and then they can move on from there. So I'm going to make this a multiple choice stop right here. What is, come on in and join us, sit down. I know it looks like I'm talking to myself, but Dan is online, so he took personally today and made us late. I'm just kidding, Dan. And I was actually down the hall. I just started like a few minutes ago. Okay, so what is the most common form factor of motherboards today? Question mark. So I can go down here.
Come to the middle school office.
And the answer obviously was ATX. I also mentioned BTX, just to see if they were paying attention. I also answered ITX. There we go. So, and you can see what's the right or wrong answer. If it's got a red X, it's the wrong answer. If it's got a green check, it's the right answer. I can have more than one right answer. There's no partial grading on this. If I say this and this are right, then either one of them that they check, they're going to get full credit for that question. It doesn't like weigh them or anything the way Moodle does. You can also see that I can embed pictures, links, I can do all kinds of stuff inside that box. It's really more of an advanced text box than it looks like. Basically, I just usually have the answer in there. But I could have pictures, which one of these is the right whatever, or follow this link and which one is the right kind of case to buy. So you could do all kinds of things with that. So that's a multiple choice question. And then I can just say up here, down here, there we go, in the bottom right hand corner, I hit save. And now that's in there, and that's what they're going to see. It's going to stop right there. They have to pick a choice. It doesn't say correct or incorrect for them. And then they hit continue to continue on the video. And like I said, I do have the option of saying whether they can fast forward through the video or not. And I never allow them to fast forward through the video, because what's the point of doing the video if I allow them to skip the video? So then I can go on and hit continue here. My video is just going to keep playing, and just so you know, this is an hour and 18-minute class that I cut down to 5 minutes. And I said earlier that I really want to do 5 minutes as my objective. Going either side of that is fine.
Has a socket in it. It only fits one kind of CPU socket.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to ask another question, open-ended. How many types of CPU fit into a single socket? It's not really a good question. I'm going to leave it like that though. Okay. So that's an open-ended, and then if I just wanted to have a note down here,
determines how many expansion slots we have.
I could go and add a note as well. Say expansion slots and the ability to quote expand the abilities of the motherboard. So in that case, it's just going to stop. They're going to read something, and then they have to continue. So those are the three types of things that I can add to a video. So I'm not going to add any more because you got the point. You just go through and you add questions. I would always, on a 5-minute video, I'd at least add one so they can't hit play and walk away and come back, because they definitely, like I said, they definitely have the ability to do that. So I've got those on there, and when I'm all done, if this is everything I've got, then I go ahead and hit finish. So by default, if you're new to EdPuzzle, you're not going to have any classes on here, which is why it's probably better to log on to EdPuzzle first. Once you're logged in there, you can just say my classes, and all I have to do is I can make a class at any time. If I scroll down, I see I have a bunch. I go down here to the bottom left to add a class, and when I've added the class, then the class shows up here. So I'm going to say this is something that I'm going to add to my hardware class. Actually, I'll add it on Tech Tuesday.
After done.
I don't know, Tech Tuesday. Pardon?
question about that, actually.
Okay, so I can add it to my class, but you see down here at the bottom, it also has, that's where by default it's set to prevent skipping. That means slide it ahead. I can turn that off if I want to. When I do that, and this is new, check to enable CCs, doesn't include mobile apps. Okay, and yes, you can assign it to more than one class if you want to, and I can also just go and not even assign it to a class. If I just want to go and say, hey, I'm just gonna put it in the Moodle the way it is, which is basically saying it's a guest thing. They're just gonna go and watch it. You're not gonna get a grade for it. It's just gonna be posted there for them to watch. You can go right here and get the embed code. I don't ever do it that way.
You mean the EdPuzzle code, the code they give you?
Yeah. I don't just go to public link. I always assign it to a class, because if I'm giving them something to do, I want to be able to see if they did it,
Yeah.
right? So I'm going to go ahead and leave that down here on Tech Tuesday and hit assign. And now it's in the Tech Tuesday class, which is where I'm at right now. You can see Motherboards Day 1. I can edit the name. That was the name of the YouTube video. It's really, I can say Motherboards, Form Factors. And this is something I see. It doesn't change the name of the YouTube video at all. It just changes the name so that I know more of what it is there. Okay?
Oh, it's just for you.
Yeah. So now I've got this video in my class, and I want to go ahead and assign it to my students. If I click on the video, you can see there's multiple choice. It says where the questions are that are in the video, and I just did something I didn't want to do. Let me go back here. Go to Tech Tuesday. There we are, right there. So I'm going to click on the video, and I want to now that I'm here, I wanted to go down here. I want to share this assignment, and you see I can change the prevent skipping at any time that it's assigned. I want to share the assignment, and I hit share assignment right there, and I have two ways to do it. If I don't have a learning management system, I can just email this to my students and say, hey, everybody needs to go make sure they do that assignment, and email it out. If I've got Moodle, then I want to use this. I want to use the embed code. I can choose how big of a video. The medium size I think works fine. If I hit the copy code button, now I can go into Moodle and add this into an assignment in Moodle. So I'm going to go down there and do that. So I'm in my demo area of my hardware course. And if I go down there, I can add an activity. Let's say this is going to be an assignment that I'm going to actually get a grade for. And I'm going to say motherboard form factor. I spelled that wrong. Extra work or something, I don't know. And I'm gonna fix that word there. Now down here in the description, I can't just paste this. If I just paste what I just copied, that's HTML code, and that will do nothing in Moodle. What I have to do is I have to hit the down arrow here, and then hit this button that goes to the HTML code. And now if I paste that and come out of HTML code, we can see it just threw that EdPuzzle video right in there. And then I can complete this assignment and say how much it's worth. There's no online stuff with it other than the assignment itself. And I can say this is going to be worth, I don't know, 10 points. And I'm going to put it in my hidden and zeroed because I don't want it to show up for my students. Since I'm putting it in here. And now I'm going to save and display and show what this looks like. So my students come in here, and I do EdPuzzles in my class, but I could have explanation here. I could have put words, obviously, in here and said, hey, do this EdPuzzle video. It's worth 10 points, should be done before next class or something if I
You don't
want to.
think that takes up a lot of room?
Takes up a lot of room. What do you mean?
That all there, if you have a video for every single lesson.
Okay, so
You know, I think...
I don't have them. First of all, I use the assignment link, first of all, right? I don't have it on my page. I have it down there, right?
Right.
And if I'm going to do it for every lesson, you're saying you want to flip it and do it every
No,
single
I just
lesson?
I just get a code for the whole chapter, and then I have them go to EdPuzzle.
Right, you could
And
do
they
that
can,
too.
That's simple. They could just put in
You
the
could
code.
do that. You could easily do that too.
then
And
they've
I've
got
got
every
my
section.
my code there too that if I want it, because as soon as they go to it, they don't really need a code, right? As soon as they're assigned,
then
as soon as you assign them something in
then everything's open to
EdPuzzle,
'em.
they see it, right? But that's not how I use it. Really, I use it more as intervention activities than anything else. But if you used it as, I'm going to do a flipped classroom, and every single day you're going to do another one, I would never do this. That would fill up my thing.
That's what I'm saying.
If I was going to do that, I would use a Moodle book to embed them, and I would put them all there. If I wanted to have them all in one place, that it was easy. And so I could have a book that each one of the let me turn everything off. That each one of these was a different video, so that they would have an index of all the videos right here, and they would just click on the index and see the thing. So they only have one. I would, if I was going to do one for flipped classroom, that's how I do it. Just so there's an index of the lessons that they don't understand how to do. I don't know. I can't think of a single thing. How to find the area of a polynomial.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, it's right there, and they click on there, and there's the EdPuzzle video. Yes, you're 100% right. If they're in EdPuzzle and they're a member of the hardware class, if I assign them, you can see all the start dates on there. They could just as easily come here and do that, and you could have one link to your class.
Okay, that's what I forget to do. I need it. I have like Algebra 1, and then I have Module 1, and then I have all the sections in there. That's what I forget how to do. How to make separate
sub areas of one thing. So
like Algebra 1, now I want Module 1, and then under that all is 15 sections. Every module has 15 sections. So I want Algebra 1, Module 1, and then I want to be able to put 15 videos in.
Right. You want to put, okay, so if we're in Algebra 1, can you do that? I've never tried to do that.
Yeah, I did it 2 years ago for all of them. Now I forget how.
Import how do I didn't know you
They
could
go to
make
my
chapters.
class.
So if I'm in there,
Yeah. So there's a different code for each module. That's why I get the different codes for my module.
Oh, for each assignment you mean? Or do you mean, are you saying modules? as
Each
assignments?
section. No, I have a different. I have
So
I have a different code for each module, and then that one code
they're not
shows
different
all
modules.
the videos.
You've made a different class for each one, for each section, which is fine. But that's the code for advanced tech is for all of advanced tech. Unless you've learned something I don't know how to do, and maybe you have.
Yeah, it's all under Algebra 1.
I don't think it is. I think you've made separate sections or separate
Well, they do join
classes
the
for
class
each
each
one.
time. They do join the class
Yeah,
each time.
so that's what I'm saying. I think you've gone and made a new class for each chapter, which is not a bad
But
idea
it's
at all
still
because
under
it separates it.
Algebra 1 somehow. It all says, like I have Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 I'm starting. You know what I mean? It still says Algebra 1 and then it says Module 1, Module 2,
See,
Module
when I add a class, it doesn't give me an option to put. I mean, it may just be because it's alphabetical in that way.
Maybe that's what I can't figure it out.
Maybe you've got Algebra 1, Module 1, and it's just alphabetically, because that's how all my classes are, right? When I look at my classes,
Yeah,
this is
maybe
just
that's it.
this is just an alphabetical list of all my classes.
Yeah.
And if you started them all off with Algebra 1, you're just by default getting the.
You might be right.
And I've never thought of doing that, but if you're doing a lot of EdPuzzles, which I am not. I'm not doing a lot. I mean, mine. I mean, I may have a lot in hardware here, but and I guess my thing is I don't want my students to come here and get lost, which is why I always embed them in something Moodle, because if they're a graded thing, I gotta have it in Moodle anyway.
Yeah.
So if I've got to have a Moodle assignment to put the grade in for,
Yeah.
then I by default I'm gonna have. There's a guy yelling at the chip. Why is that? When looking at, tell them they can fast forward when looking at the video. They do not have to watch a regular speed to add questions. Oh yeah. I don't know if I said that or not, but you don't have to watch that. I only watch the video to add my questions, so it makes sense to me.
Right.
If you already proofed the video, you may know, and that may be something, especially if you're using somebody else's video. You find a good video, hey, I'm going to cut that down. I've already watched it, and I've already made note to myself where I'm going to put questions in there. I always have to watch because I want it to be timely, not ask a question that doesn't make sense now.
I'll watch them after I'm.
Anyway, so I do always embed them in a Moodle assignment just because I know I'm going to put a grade in there. So
Okay.
it just makes sense. But to me, but you could just as easily make a book of those things. But if you're doing separate chapters, I mean, you're really doing
15
one.
sections for 12 modules.
You're
that's
really, yeah, you're
150.
really doing one class and dividing it up
Yeah.
with EdPuzzle based on where you're at, which
Right.
works really well too. There's no reason that's not a good method.
Okay.
Because EdPuzzle does not limit you to, at least I've never hit it,
Uh-uh.
to a number of classes that you can do. So why not?
Okay.
Why not divide it by chapter? That kind of makes sense. Except for they have to enroll every single time, whereas my kids in hardware enroll once, and then they're just in it.
It's simple. It's just join
So
class.
yeah, I know it's not hard.
Put
I'm
the
not
code
saying
in.
it's hard, and they don't even have to do that. Well, they do have to do that if you do it that way.
That way, I just post
You could just
post
have-
the codes though.
Right,
it
and-
makes
and-
it simpler on me.
In fact, on the if I wanted students to join this class, I could just do this right here. So there, that link just is joining the class. You don't even have to do that. So you could do this. In fact, let me go back to. You could either share it by mail or copy the link. And if I copy the link and do it this way, then I could just.
I'll have a link for everyone.
I could at the top of the chapter say just have a label that says.
Section 12.1.
Yeah, section
Here's
12
the link.
EdPuzzle. So I could just have a label that said, or even better, I could use a URL link. So add a URL, say EdPuzzle for chapter 1, and add the URL right there. And then save and display. I didn't mean display. I meant save and go back. So then I could add that to the top of every one. Since you're breaking up your EdPuzzle by sections, you could just have it at the top of every one. And so every single chapter, the very first thing is the EdPuzzle for that. So when they click on it, they just enrolled in it, and now they're in the class. It's an easier way than even giving them the
Oh,
code.
you okay.
So if you give them that link, they just, hey, you're entering the
did
class
a URL,
right now. Yeah.
and you did the link.
Yeah.
Okay, link to enter class.
Yeah, so I mean, then they don't have to go and even put in a code. They just click on it, and they go to the thing, and they're
And
enrolled.
then
They
there's
just
all the
enroll
sections.
themselves.
You're
Yeah,
right.
I'm just your way is perfectly valid. I'm just saying if you wanted to get around giving codes, just you could even make it an HTML thing on the side. Chapter 1 EdPuzzle, Chapter 2 you could have the chapters as one thing on the side with it, like I've got my course info.
Yeah.
Where they just click on it right there and they go straight into the Chapter 1 EdPuzzle, and if they're not a member, they just joined by clicking on it. And if they are a member, then they just went to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be one way of making it maybe a little simpler or more organized for your
less
kids. I don't know if
clicky.
that's which word is the best, but
It's-
that way works really well, and that's one of the ways. So whenever you have a EdPuzzle done and you embed it, they click on it and they have to say they want to join the class, unless you do one of these options that you've got to give them the code or give them a link or mail them that, which I think this is the easiest way.
Yeah,
is just to go
right.
and use that link.
And those three all popped up when you did class options.
Yeah, right. When I hit invite students.
Oh, invite
When
students.
I hit invite
okay.
students, I get all those options, and then I just copied that link and I put that link on Moodle, so it just says, and I click on it, they go straight into
Okay.
the course there.
Okay, that's actually a great idea.
So the other thing down here is you can also, if you see down here, if you've used Google Classroom, you can import straight from your Google Classroom. So I've got my kids already in a Google Classroom. So if I hit import from Google Classroom, and I go over here and I said, hey, EdPuzzle wants to connect to your Google Classroom, allow, and then it's going to say, okay, what am I importing? And here's my Google Classrooms that I've got right now. I've got a Classroom, Google Apps, Advanced Tech, Computer Hardware, Google Classroom, and my interns. So if I said, hey, I want to import into Advanced Tech all my Advanced Tech student, if I say import classes now, all my kids that were in there are automatically brought over to here and are now in that class too. The thing is, you have to, in that way, you can bring them in each chapter automatically, right? Not automatically, but you just click on them.
Yeah.
And you only have to add them to your Google Classroom once, and I already do that. Right? I already have on my Moodle course, one of the top things, somewhere there we go, join Google Classroom with class code BLIT, so my students all know to click on there and join, and I should take that off because now I could have anybody join my Google Classroom. Yeah, I'm gonna have to change my code. Do what you can do on Google. I don't know if you use Google Classroom at all. So if you're using Google Classroom, it makes it really easy to connect both things. And if you are, you can go, since I just showed my code on the internet, I can go to hardware, and my kids are already in it, right? So I can just go, and my code is down here. Where's my code? Dan, help me. Help me, Dan. There we go. Here's my code right there, and I can just go and say, how am I going to do that? Disable. There we go. So I'm going to disable that code so that it doesn't work anymore because the kids that are in the class are in the class. Here, no, I'm not going to everybody randomly join my class. I'm reading Dan's notes in case I missed something. So that's really it. I mean, when they do that, when they do the assignment or when they do the activity, it will automatically grade them. For instance, our internet safety course. If I go back, let's see if I can go up to my classes.
Did you already showed right? Bringing a YouTube video over to EdPuzzle.
Yeah, that was the first thing. I mean, and I just do it by using the EdPuzzle button.
It's right up in the.
So. If you add it to EdPuzzle, then every video you're on, it just has it with EdPuzzle on it. So once you've added that on there, I'm not going to watch what this is because it could be bad. So if I go into an activity, where did I just close it? There we go. So for instance, this is the phishing attack training that we're doing at Trail. It says there are 2 people I have to grade right now that I haven't graded because they're open-ended questions. And I can go right here and say, where's my grades? To grade. You can say anything that's ungraded is correct for the open-ended question, which is really easy. So I don't have to look at them. I just want a response on it. There we go. And luckily, no one has answered the wrong. My first question had 2 right answers and 1 wrong answer, and no one said the wrong answer at all so far. And if this was a real class, I would be able to download the grades as well, and you can see how everybody answered if you want to on there as well. Let's see, I don't have an old one that I can show turned in. There's one person that never finished it. So, any questions? We're kind of at time. You used it a lot though.
Yeah,
so,
I just need to know how to do that. What you should do.
Oh, okay. So I think as far as blended learning goes, no disable reset after you're not streaming online. Disable takes the lock off the class. Oh. So and it's saying I should reset the code, not disable it. Does that disable the class, Dan? Or just the enrollment code? Because that's all I wanted to do anyways. They're already all in the class. You're gonna have to answer me on. See, you say no. Does that disable the class, or just enrollment code? I think it just does the enrollment code. Of course, I didn't spell it right at all. Let's see what his feedback is because he's a no. So anyway, I think that EdPuzzle was without question the answer to how to use a YouTube in your classroom and make sure it's watched.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we had no way of knowing.
You absolutely can check.
And I've had some students comment that
it's and plus
why do I have to watch it? I already know the answer.
They have to go all the way through it. Sometimes you can,
Yeah.
like they want to just watch part,
Right.
and you can disable that.
So I will tell you, I have some videos that are not EdPuzzled because I don't feel like they need. If they're like, Mr. Poole, I paid attention in classwork, I don't need to watch that whole thing over before I take the test. Okay. But if it's an intervention activity because they did poorly on the test, no, you didn't. You got less than, in some cases, 70% on the test. You have to watch the video and answer the questions because I use those frequently as intervention activities in my class. So kind of the way, I don't know if you've been in my class when I've talked about restricted activities and stuff,
Yeah.
but the way my class works is as soon as they've taken the fight, then the intervention activity shows up and they do this one, and when this was done, this one shows up, and when that one's done, that one shows up, that one's done, that one shows up, when that one's done, that one shows up, when that one's done, the reattack shows up, so they can redo it. So they have to earn the right to redo a summative assessment, but I'm a firm believer that if you're willing to do the extra work, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to try again on the summative assessment. It's not just you failed, too bad, we're moving on. It sucks to be you. That's not how I think, And we, as you know, there are plenty of students that don't get it on Tuesday, but by Friday all of a sudden it makes sense.
Right.
And if they could redo the test, which, if it's on Moodle, it's not like it's a bunch of sweat off my back, right? There are essay questions I have to grade, but
Yeah.
that only takes a couple minutes. And I'll be honest, I might have one student per test that does the extra work to do the retest. I have plenty of students who have good intentions and they'll do this one, and then they might do this one, but they have to get through all 5 to earn the right to go here, because it's not just hey, just take it again, see how you do, right?
Right.
So it's you've got to show me that you made an attempt to learn the content better, and then go back and do it. So if there's a video in any of these, they definitely will be EdPuzzle. But there's other times that I don't have them all EdPuzzle. So okay, let's see. Opens the class to everyone. Oh, it does the opposite. If I disable the code, it opens the class to everyone. Click the gear and down. Arrow next to it, reset option, best. Okay, so I'll do that as soon as I stop showing the code. So we're done for today. Thanks, Dan, for being here with us, and thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
So, all right.